I finally finished the situation. I finally finished the situation videos, and stranded in Southern California. This time I was stranded at our terminal, though. So they have a motel that they get rooms for drivers. But of course, this happened on a Sunday, and there was nobody around to give me money for the motel, and everybody left, and the person they said to call was gone and wouldn't take my call. So I couldn't get a room, and my Greyhound bus didn't leave till the morning. Of course, these are things that happen when you're a student truck driver. Nobody's around. They can't put money on your car to get you a room. You're sitting there with, like, what am I supposed to do? Well, another driver heard me trying to talk to the weekend dispatcher and finding out that they were gonna basically leave me hanging again with no room and have me bust across the country. And he said, I got a room with 2 beds in it, and you're perfectly welcome. No, I'm not gonna try any funny stuff, but I'd hate for you to be like just sitting around here all night with nowhere to go. And if you want to stay in there. I was like, thank you, because I was, I worked so hard the night before. We had driven all the way, all that, that whole load down. I was exhausted. I wanted to sleep in a bed, especially if I'm getting ready to ride across the country on the bus. I'd love to have a shower and all. So I took him up on it. And we didn't talk a whole bunch. We kind of, it was kind of fun. We just went and had soup and talked, and I told him, some of the stuff that was going on, and I was having a really hard time finding anybody that would, help me out in this company to learn. So nice to have somebody that he wasn't trying anything, and it was funny because when I was telling him that I'm going on the bus and I got this other person I'm a team with, he's like, "You're so dumb. You're so dumb. You shouldn't get on the truck. You shouldn't get on the truck." I'm like, why? What's it gonna? I mean, like, I can handle myself, okay? I'm gonna tell somebody, look nothing's gonna happen between me and you ever, all right? Never, ever, ever. He's like, no, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. And he was right. You're so naive when you go out, you're like, yeah, I can handle myself. Well, when the company doesn't back you up and there's other players there that are like trying to throw you under the bus, the thing spins out of control. And that was what he was trying to tell me, but I couldn't get it because I'd never been in this situation like this. I thought that, the other thing was like, oh, this is a fluke, So here I go on this bus ride. And that was pretty funny and interesting just in itself, because I met a lot of interesting people and a lot of characters, and it was very entertaining bus ride. And so I arrived in Chattanooga on a holiday. There was nobody around, of course. And what I didn't know was this guy that I was getting ready to get on a truck with had just had a falling out with a girl. And she basically was like, they had to pull her off of him. She was ready to strangle him. I didn't know that, but the company knew that. And so I'm like, yeah, let's get rolling. I want to work. I want to make money. And here I am just getting on this truck with the next person that's like, yeah, let's just work. We're going to do miles. We're going to make money. And I'm like believing all of this stuff. And this kid's young enough to be my son. But I'm just trying to work. So here we go. And the first night that I'm back in the terminal, he starts telling me that he was giving drugs to the outbound dispatcher and watching him have sex with his wife, or he was having sex with the guy's wife, or they were doing this wife swapping thing, all this weird stuff. I mean, this is like a Christian company. So I was like, what is going on here? Like, everybody I'm meeting is like on drugs that works there or doing drugs. And I'm like, what is this place? Is like the Addams Family. And so he's bragging about how he would go over to this outbound dispatcher's house and do all this stuff with them and the wife, and that's why he got good loads. And I'm like, oh God, no, I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. This is your personal business. I really don't want to know. I'm just here to work. So he's like, well, he's going to get us a load out of here, because you usually don't get a load out of there on the weekend. You're stuck there. But he got us a load out of there. But first he wanted to come over to the truck, comes knocking on the truck at 3 o'clock in the morning out in the back 40. And I'm like, oh my God, is this guy going to think that he's coming in this truck? So I was really grateful when we got a load out of there. So I'm like, woo, we don't have to be around the creepy guy. And we get going, and he wants to keep talking about this wife swapping thing with the guy. It's grossing me out. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know about all the dirty people that work at this company. I don't want to know. All I want to do is work and get a paycheck. So I kept trying to tell him, like, I don't want to know about this stuff. You're kind of a liability when you're blabbing this dude's business all over the place too. So, but he was young, so he didn't get it. Of course, he was really nice the first few days, because they always are. And then I knew he had teamed with other girls, and I was like asking him what happened with them. He was like, oh, this other one we were kind of seeing each other, and she was really married and all, and I didn't believe in this. I mean, he had a whole cock and bull story, and I'm like, oh, okay, sounds, reasonable. There are girls that, do that, whatever. So I'm like not questioning anything, or no reason to. But then I started seeing that he was, he kept kind of trying to get back to, the thing with the outbound dispatcher. I mean, always had to come back to his sex life, which totally gets on my nerves, because I don't want to talk to you about this. You're 26 years old. So we get to, we have this week where we are driving, and he wants me to go to his, he's very adamant that he wants me to go to his uncle's house, and I don't want to go to his uncle's house. I don't want to go, and he starts screaming. I said, I want to go to the truck stop, and I want to take a shower. He's like, you don't want to go to my uncle's house. You want to go take a shower where other truckers take a shower and they jack off in the shower, and you want to go there instead of my uncle's house? I was like, God, like, what do you have, hidden cameras or something at your uncle's house? I mean, what's your trip? Like, who cares? I want to go to the truck stop. That was like one of his first meltdowns, where I was like, okay, this guy has problems. And then he comes back, and he's like a half an hour later, and he's like, sometimes I have like a period, like a woman, like I have like a period, and I just like flip out. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm just really sorry. Okay, I hope you won't get off the truck. I just hope, like, he's crazy. Another one. So our next load, we have to go up and get these high security alloy tire rims for cars. They're going to go to San Francisco Bay Area, to where they put the cars together. So we pick up this load in Rogers, Arkansas, and that day he bought the Sirius radio thing, and I hooked it up because he was having a tantrum because he couldn't hook it up, and he just was like a little kid. He just reminded me of a little kid. We can't do this. So it's like, I'll do it. Let me hook it up. So I hooked it up. So we're rolling. We have this high security load, and we're getting down gonna coming into New Mexico. And he says, I don't have any more hours. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I don't have any more hours. I'm like, you're just saying that right now? I said, well, that's okay. I'll drive my shift, and then I'll go to sleep for 10 hours, and then I'll get up and drive again. And by then you'll have some hours. Oh, no, he's like making all these excuses, and he wants to go see the NCAA finals or whatever. So that's really what it was. He planned this all out so that he could watch the basketball game. And we just so happened to end up at a casino. So, like, in the back of his head, of course, in hindsight, I'm like, he planned this all along. And we get to this place, and I'm still sitting there, I mean, I'm still like 3 months into this. What is it? It's like March. And so I'm like January, February, yeah. So I'm still new. I mean, I'm just barely, all this stuff's happened just since January, February, March, 3 months and 3 weeks. And I'm not even done with it yet. So here we are, and he's saying we're going to go to a casino. And I'm like, well, we can't go to a casino. I was told we're not allowed to go to casinos because drivers do bad things at casinos, and we're not allowed to go. Oh, let me call my friend. So he calls up his friend, who's a trainer, and he's like, oh, are we allowed to go to casinos? Oh, yeah, we can go. So his trainer friend tells him that we're allowed to go. So here we are going. I'm like, all right, well, he's a trainer, he knows. So we go to this place, and he starts buying these Long Island iced teas. And he's bringing them up to me like I'm going to drink one. He's like, here, I got you a drink. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink that. So he ends up drinking both of them. And then he does it again. He goes and gets 2 Long Island iced teas and tries to give it to me. I'm like, I'm not going to drink that. Like, I'm going to drink a Long Island iced tea with a 26-year-old. And so he ends up drinking about 5 Long Island iced teas. And it's starting to get evening. And I went to go eat at the buffet, and we're in there, and another driver had called me, the one that I'd met at the fuel stop, that had given me his phone number, and he called to brag about how many miles they got that week. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of miles, Sounds good to me. I want to be riding on the bus, So I'm telling this new co-driver, who in my written story, his name is Mag, for Maggot. And he starts going crazy, going, they're lying to you. They're lying. They never got that many miles. He's like tripping out that this guy called. And then he starts going, I don't like you talking to other people. You don't talk to people like that. I'm like, whoa, you are not my boyfriend, and you do not talk to me like that. I am not your property. And he's like, don't raise your voice at me. And like, I'm not even raising my voice. He's like, you don't talk to me. You don't, like almost hallucinating at the table that there was something happening that wasn't. Like, I started to realize that maybe he's one of these people that drinks and blacks out. And obviously after 5 Long Island iced teas, he was probably like not even coherent. So I just got up and left. I said, dude, you don't talk to me like that. I'm going back to the truck. So I went back to the truck, and he starts running in front of me. So I get to the truck, and he's throwing my stuff out on the ground. And I get up in the truck, and he starts screaming in my face, calling me a whore and all this stuff. And I said, I'm old enough to be your mother. How would you feel if somebody called your mother a whore? He's like, he goes, I used to be a pimp, Desiree. And I said, well, you weren't a very good one, were you? Right, nose to nose. And he started crying. And so he's like, you made me cry, you made me cry. It was this big, like, I got down because he threw all my clothes. I mean, if you'll remember, I put my clothes, all my belongings in a storage container in California. What I came on the Greyhound bus with back to Chattanooga was just a little bag with enough clothes to last me a few days. And while I was there, I stopped at Walmart and got like two or three shirts and two pairs of pants to last me until I got back to my stuff in California. So I didn't have a lot of stuff, and the stuff that I just bought was still in the bag, and here it is on the ground. And I could see this guy was just completely freaking out. So I got down on the ground, and he had set the Qualcomm on the seat, and I grabbed it so that I could write a SOS. And he started yanking it and yanking it and yanking it. At the time, I didn't know he injured my wrist because I was just holding it like this, and while he was yanking it and trying to send an SOS, and I couldn't hold it. He just pulled it back in. And then he pulled a bottle of bleach and started spraying me with bleach. My face, my hair, my clothes on the ground. He was just completely out of his mind. My phone died. I couldn't tell the company I needed help on the Qualcomm, and my phone was dead. And I got one phone call off, and I was told to call the police, and I was also told to go into the security. So I did. Started walking up to the hotel security, and another truck driver came out, and he said, "I saw what just happened, and if you want me to be your witness, I will." And I said, "Yes, I think I need help." So I walked up to the security, and I told the security guard what happened. In the meantime, Mag ran over to the other security guard, and he told them that I was a lot lizard and that I was trying to get on his truck and he had to throw me off. Well, they took his word for it. They didn't ask if I was a driver. They didn't ask nothing. They just grabbed me and took me down to the truck, assuming that I was that. And the other truck driver that was trying to be my witness was the one who warned me. He goes, "He just told them that you're a lot lizard." So when they start coming at me, this other truck driver that's trying to be my witness, he says that this other truck driver that's trying to be my witness, he starts trying to speak up for me, and the security guard goes, "Get out of here. You're going to get in trouble too. Get out of here right now." So there goes my witness. I don't have anybody there for me. I have a dead phone. I'm in the middle of the desert. Where I was the Route 66 casino in New Mexico. So if you have ever been out there, it's like 13 or 14 miles from Albuquerque. It's on an Indian reservation, and there's nothing else there. So here's this security guard, will not let me have a word in edgewise. He will not listen to anything I have to say. And this guy, Mag, is just falling down drunk. And he's screaming and acting like a total maniac. "You just have to get your stuff and get out of here." This is what this security guard, because he thinks what he says. So I said, "I need my wallet and I need my phone charger." So he said, let her have her wallet and her phone, toiletries and my things and, my books, my logbook, things like that. The security guard, his face just changes. He's just like, "You really are a driver?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am. I work for this company. And they're not sticking up for me." By that time, the Qualcomm was dead. It was just blank screen. And so he said, "I'm really sorry, but I can't leave you here because you guys are going to get into a fight, and he is out of control, and I got to take you out of the situation, and I can't let you back in the hotel or I'm going to be liable." And I understand that because I used to work in the hotel business, and he was telling the truth. So he drove me back to Albuquerque, and on that ride, I just busted out crying and told him, "I'm trying so hard to do this job, and I'm working for this company that just treats people like crap, and I just don't know what to do. I mean, I really, really need to have this job." And I just cried my eyes out to him. One thing that I was really upset about, though, was they turned the vehicle over to Mag, who was there falling down drunk, 5 Long Island iced teas, and I said, you're gonna let him drive on the highway like this? Are you gonna let him stay here? Oh no, we're gonna make him leave. We don't want him on the property either. I said, but you can see that he's falling down drunk, right? Oh yeah, we can see it. So, they did. They let him go drive down I-40, and they took me and dumped me off at the Flying J. And the first thing I did was plug my phone in and call Covenant, and the first thing Covenant said was, did you break the Qualcomm? I was like, are you serious? Like, do you have any idea what I've just been through? Did I break the Qualcomm? Like, I couldn't even believe it. And they kept me up all night making a statement. And every time I'd fax it, they said, we didn't get it. Do it again. It was, I was like, let me email it to you. No, it has to be faxed. And the girl at the desk didn't know how to do a fax. And then, my wrist started getting red. And I told him my wrist is getting red. Oh, well, you have to go take a drug test, on the weekend where it's closed. You have 2 hours to get there. And they gave me $30 to get from where the Flying J is to the other side of the valley in Albuquerque, which is like a 30-mile drive in a cab with $30. And I had 2 hours to get there. And all these rules, because it could have been a workman's comp and all this bullshit, And meanwhile, this other guy's like drunk in the truck at the next casino down the road, whatever he's doing. And that's the way they do business. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, I'm like, what would the shipper of this freight that's so high security, that wanted to know our names and make sure we were going to be the most responsible drivers possible to get this load to San Francisco, what would these shippers and receivers think if they saw this spectacle right now that's going on with their freight? I mean, I would just be like, you know what? I don't want you pulling my freight ever again. I was just like dumbfounded. And the way that this carrier was treating me, I just couldn't believe it. I wrote about this in my story because trying to get back from the drug test, which I did make in the 2 hours with just like a nice truck driver or a nice taxi driver that used to be a truck driver that got me there, but then he left, and then I had to walk 5 miles back to town in flip-flops. I thankfully brought my charger and plugged it in at a Burger King, and then I made it down, found on Google Maps the bus station, and for the $1 I had left, I was able to take the bus as close as I could out there to the Flying J, and then walk the rest of the way to Dust Storm in my flip-flops with the blisters through, where all the girls walk a track. And it was just like, and I had no money for food. All that was left after that day was like some change, and it was not enough change to get anything out of the vending machine. So it was just a horrible nightmare. And of course, Monday morning is when they make it worse, and I will talk about that in my next video. So that's that.